Ryan has the power to destroy Dari. Help her. Lisa's voice echoed through the emptiness, or else be prepared to lose her forever. Jungkook instantly snapped his eyes open and groaned when he realized it was another dream of his. Good morning, sleepyhead. Just the voice he wanted to hear spoke. Morning, Ryan. He smiled weakly and lifted his blankets off of him. Hey, you made your way towards him and gently sat on the bed beside him. Is everything alright? Did you have the same dream about Lisa again? Your eyes bored into his with concern. He nodded. I really don't understand what Lisa mean by I have the power to defeat her, but never since he started having these dreams I have doubled my training. You knit your eyebrows into a frown, and Hosok is absolutely merciless. You faked a cry, he chuckled. I have been working my butt off for almost 3 months now to track Lisa's presence based on the description you gave after you came back from your little visit to her. But to no avail. You sigh. Well, maybe because you aren't trying harder. He mocked you. Oh, well, maybe I do have an idea. You inched closer to him, suddenly making his heart beat faster. He gulped. Let's send you back and let me get my dear Lisa's soul in exchange of yours. Jungkook gulped and retreated back. Hey, get your ass back downstairs. Hosok is waiting to train you. Hansung poked her head inside. Yeah, coming. You got up and left. So, when are you planning to tell her? Hansung questioned as soon as you left. Not soon, he shrugged. Oh yeah, she mocked him, raising her eyebrows. You are one to tell. He scoffed. What do you mean? She crossed her arms. Why don't you tell Jimin then? He questioned and she gasped. Yeah, I know you have feelings for him. He stretched as he got up. How do you know? Well, he took in a deep breath and spoke. Everyone knows except for that nincompoop. He chuckled, shaking his head. She bit her lower lip in anxiety. Relax, none of us have spoken single word to him regarding this. That fool should realize it himself. He assured her. She nodded her head silently. Whoa, Hosok slowed down. You huffed. You're slacking. Keep up. Hosok mocked. I'm trying, you exclaimed. No, you are not. You won't be able to defeat Dari at this rate. He quickly glanced at you. You roll your eyes. Enough with the training. Come and have your breakfast, you two. Jin put down the plates for both of you. Bless his soul, you was starving. Time to dig in, you excitedly said. Don't eat a lot. We will resume your training after this. Hosok spoke with his mouth full. Yeah and no. You solved and quietly ate your food. Any progress with Lisa? Namjoon questioned, sitting on the opposite side of the table as you. You shook your head for a no. Obviously, Ryan isn't trying hard enough. Hosok glanced at you. You know what? I'm done with you being sarcastic, Hosok. You stood up and slammed the table hard. You better watch that temper of yours, Ryan. I won't tolerate it. Hosok stood tall. What if I don't? You cross your arms. Guys, calm down. Jimin tried to calm the situation. What's going on? Jungkook spoke. You all looked at his direction and saw him trying to make his way downstairs towards the living room. I told him, but he wouldn't listen. Hansung threw her hands in the air. You are supposed to rest, Jungkook. Hosok pushed past you and quickly made his way towards Jungkook. Go to your room and I'll get you what you need. I'm fine, young. Jungkook shrugged. You're clearly not. Hosok gave you a quick glance and then looked at Jungkook. Ever since the incident with you and Jungkook happened, everyone's being extra cautious with you. The one who is affected with the incident the most is Hobie. He doesn't say a word regarding the incident, but you know for sure that he hasn't forgiven you for what had happened to Jungkook. No one has. You looked at Jungkook and your eyes brimmed with tears at the mere thought. You quickly made your way to your room and shut the door. Not a minute later, you heard a soft knock and a voice calling out your name. Are you alright? His soft voice spoke. Yeah, I'm fine. You wiped your tears and made your way towards the door. Jungkook made his way inside as soon as you opened the door. I have something to tell you. He caught you by your wrist and made you sit beside him. What is it? What you want to tell me? You asked him softly. I know we have all been asking you a lot to defeat that evil wrench, but I know you can't unless you understand why you have a reason to do so. He let out a deep sigh, fiddling with his fingers. What are you talking about? You quivered. What I am about to say it will help you to get a reason to defeat her. His eyes bored into yours. What do you mean? You questioned him back. With a small and gentle smile, he spoke. I'm going to say you how we became what we are now. Long, long time ago, he started, but you cut him off. Could you get any more dramatic, John Jungkook? You tried to control your laughter. What? I was just trying to lighten the mood. He pouted cutely. Fine, I'm sorry. Please continue. You took a deep breath and spoke. This is not a story, Ryan. This is our bitter past, our worst mistake. It's all began when Dare laid her eyes was on Jin. Jin was like any other ordinary man, humble, honest, noble, and full of wisdom. It all began when Dare wanted a place to hide until the witch hunters were gone. She disguised herself as a traveler who had lost her path and wanted to place to stay. Jin Young couldn't refuse not only because of his kind and humble nature but also because he had never seen someone as beautiful as her. One thing led to another and Jin found himself falling in love with her. Dare on the other hand realized that Jin had unexplainable powers due to his kind-hearted nature. You mean he was a warlock and didn't know about it? You question. No, Jungkook replied. He didn't have any powers. Like I said, he was just an ordinary man unlike any other. But his nature made him gain certain powers, something like positive energy. This energy of his was far stronger than that of Dare. Dare wanted his energy all for herself as it could make her powerful. She played the love game with him until he was no longer useful for her and she cursed him for eternity. And thus Jin became the first sin. That explains how Jin can eat so much and cook so well. You laughed dryly. Well, that's one way to put it. Jungkook shook his head with a dry chuckle and continued. Jin is a glutton because he devoured anything and everything that come his way only to keep Dare happy. Every action of Jin was controlled by her to the point where Jin lost himself and knew nothing between right and wrong. All he wanted was to make Dare happy. His actions led a step further to his doom, and Dare drained every bit of energy from Jin until he was just an empty vessel. He had lost everything his love, his wisdom, his kind and humble nature. But most importantly, he no longer knew himself. It was too late until he realized what he had done. Jin couldn't reverse the time and stop what he had done, but he could stop her from doing any further damage, and for that he took a decision to change everything. The corner of Jungkook's eyes showed pain that was unexplainable. What was the decision? You softly asked. He said each one of us as a bait. Your eyes widened. Jin said them as a bait. You see, Ryan, each one of us, like Jin, had certain powers due to our very being. These powers were defined by our nature that was most overpowering than the other. Jin found information on each one of us and Lord Dare. Jin never had any bad intentions. All he wanted to do was make things right. Or he thought so, said the man who was flexing his injured arm. You nodded in agreement. Namjoon Young and Hosok Young were orphans. Namjoon knew nothing about his parents. On the other hand, Hosok witnessed his parents' death. Just the mere thought of the incident made him angry. Namjoon, being the knave one, was always bullied, and Hosok always stood up for him, and thus began the friendship amongst the two. Namjoon's pride was Hosok. He loved Hosok more than he loved himself. Hosok was always the cheerful one, lighting up Namjoon's day. Who would have thought the cheerful bright Hosok had a dark side? Dare destroyed everything that Hosok loved. His only home after his parents' death, his friends, and his only brother Namjoon. Hosok couldn't bear the pain of loss, and thus he went on a rampage and killed anything and everything that came his way. He wanted to destroy Dare, but little did he know that he was helping her. Once Hosok's powers was at his peak, Dare destroyed the once bright and cheerful man. He sighed. You couldn't help but compare the night with his own state of mind. Just like those clouds, his insides were in a chaos, a mess. Revealing the past was bothering him. He was in pain. You knew he didn't want to say any of this, but he did for you. He wanted you to know what they have been through. They have been hurt. In order to make things right, they continue to hurt themselves even more. And right now, Jungkook was doing the same. All you could do was nod and listen to what he had to say. When Jin realized what he had done, he was enraged. He had given Dare exactly what she had wanted. He sighed. He continued with his absurd plan, believing that this will be the last to stop Dari, but she was always a step ahead. He let out a dry chuckle. Jungkook, you don't have to. No, Ryan, I have to. You should know our story and make it into yours. After all, you are our last hope. Determination clear in his voice. You sigh. Jimin was destined to be the next Sen. Ever since a child, he was a charm, attracted anyone and everyone around him. As he grew and became mature enough to understand things, he chose the path of seduction as mean to make ends meet. Everything was going perfectly all right until he met a maiden. He fell in love with her. As days went by, he realized that he wasn't in love with her. It was his lust towards her that clouded his mind. He realized that he wasn't made for love. He could never love anyone. A path he chose for more survival just to make ends meet turned out to be his own definition of self. Darif grabbed his opportunity, took away all his powers, destroying him and the maiden. Jimin only realized what he had lost when the maiden was gone. He realized that he was in fact capable of compassion, and love, and it was in fact his desire for lust that took over any rational thoughts he could have. It wasn't lust, it was indeed love that he felt towards her. But it was too late when he understood it, when the maiden was gone. The maiden was sent by Jane, and she was Hansel. You can't save someone from their destiny for what they were created. What you can do is make it easier for them, bring more joy, less pain. You can walk some of their path with them. You can protect them from the demons who would end their story too soon. Fate was as cruel as death, which was something all of them knew firsthand. These were the demons in their lives suffocating, haunting, and tormenting them. Destiny and fate played a cruel game with these two, but universe had something else stored for them. Call it destiny or fate. The story of these two began centuries ago and is still continuing. He spoke, surprisingly speaking what you was about to ask. So does either of them know? You question further. Hansung. No, it's not possible for any human to remember their past life, whereas for Jimin he erased every memory of him. He mumbled the last few words, making it almost difficult for you to hear. Why so? Isn't it easier to forget rather than to bear the pain of loss for eternity? He spoke, and you couldn't relate more. You had done and have been doing the same since your mom died. You nodded, and he continued speaking. Taeyong Hayung and I are brothers. His voice trailing off. Yoongi Young is our stepbrother, the first son of our father, and also the eldest among us all. His father married our mother after the demise of Jung Young's mother. We were a happy family. Taeyong Young was the spoiled brat, always wanted more of everything, always buying the most expensive things available. It was never enough for him. His favorites were clothing and jewels. Young Young and I would always chase him for stealing our belongings. A slight chuckle escaped from his mouth. Seeing him smile made your heart warm. Everything was perfect until the last full moon of the sixth lunar year. Jungkook's voice darkened. What happened during that time? You asked the obvious question. Dari killed our parents and abducted Taeyong Heung. 3 days later, we found him by the southern coast, 3 miles away from our home, unconscious, barely breathing. We tried every possible treatment, but none worked. It was impossible to wake him up. When all hope was lost, 4 men approached us. They were none other than Jin Young, Nam Jun Young, Ho Sok, and Jim Young. They didn't say a word. Jin Young asked Jim In Hyung to remove every memory he had with Dari. He did as he was asked, and minutes later, Taeyong Hyung woke up. A grateful smile displayed on his face. You relaxed after holding in your breath for so long. Jin Young said that Taeyong Hyung had been cursed by a witch named Dari. Each one of them Each one of them narrated their story. Once they were done, Jin Young asked for a favor and we couldn't refuse him. Not after saving Taeyong Hyung's life. What he asked definitely stunned us, but it was not forced but a choice given to us. Even though it was a choice, the option was obvious. To defeat Dare, we had to turn dark and evil. We were his last hope. To protect our family and to protect each other, we made the choice to do whatever it takes to bring her down. But as you can see, things didn't turn out so well. We were cursed too. Jungkook let out a heavy sigh. They all were alike, but also not at the same time. They were not born with darkness. Some of them were forced, while some were destined, and the other chose the path of darkness. But one thing was similar amongst them all the desire to defeat Dare, to take her down for once and for all. In the end, we were all pawns of a large motive. We were the chosen ones by Dare. What? Isn't it Jen who chose each one of you all? You clearly didn't understand what he meant. Dare is a wicked witch Wyan, always ahead of everyone. Darren never left Jin Hyung aside. She made him believe that every plan was his. She strategically executed every plan. Like Jin Hyung, all of us were fooled and gave exactly what she wanted, making her stronger than ever. He scooted further towards you and held your hand firmly. Does that mean I'm a part of Dare's plan too? You all said I was the chosen one. Is it Dare the one who chose me? You question. Maybe yes and maybe no. Huh? You ask confused. Never underestimate her, Ryan. She may or may not be the one to choose you. But it's better to assume the latter. You nodded understanding. I don't know what Lisa mean by you are stronger than Dare and you can defeat her. But we all know that Lisa is the answer for all your questions. Dare must have understood that she finally knew how you can defeat her. And before she could say any of it to you, she stopped her. His eyes searching for yours, he gave your hand a gentle squeeze, reassuring that everything is going to be alright. Everything will be fine because you are not alone in this fight. You finally looked at him and found yourself losing into his dark orbs. There was something solemn swimming in his eyes, their stunning deep brown held of truth that his face could not hide. A launching of something that he couldn't have. For a half second, both of you sat there, staring at each. Why and I? You shut him by crashing your lips onto his before he could speak any further. From his POV, you moved your head closer to his. He sat there, frozen from both fear and excitement. You leaned in so your forehead rested against his. Eyes closed, and with shaky breath, you spoke. Thank you. For what? He questioned. For everything. Your voice wavered, accelerated from the sudden tension between you both. Ryan, you gently leaned in and kissed his lip. He knew you didn't love him back, but he couldn't resist. He leaned in a little closer, both of your foreheads touching. Dear Satan, I couldn't fight against the thoughts that were going through me. He thought kissing you. Unable to contain himself anymore, he held your head in his hands and pulled you into a fiery and passionate kiss. Your hands worked their way around his body, feeling each crevice, each line along his psyche. You lied on your back as he matched your body's form. His hands went toward over your curved body exploring. You both pulled apart and opened your eyes, staring deep into each other's eyes. He softly leaned in and trailed his kisses up and down to your neck. You let out a little whimpers and anticipation. He worked his way back to your tender, smooth lips. You rolled him over and passionately positioned yourself on top of him. A small smile tugged on his face. You smiled at him back, but something didn't feel right. He returned your clothes after your heated make-out session. You dressed up again. He grabbed your wrist and made you sat on his lap as he cradled you, kissing you lovingly. Something wasn't right, and you couldn't put your fingers on it. You are hella confused about your feelings to him or to Yoongi. Do you love him or do you love Yoongi? You are confused. Wyan, are you? Someone barged in your room. You both broke from the kiss and turned around to face the voice, and it's none other than Yoongi. Yoongi looked at you and then Jungkook. He noticed your positions. Without saying anything, he left the room. Fuck. Jungkook cursed. That's when realization hit you like a truck and you pushed Jungkook away from you immediately. What have you done? Yoongi, wait. You called out before running after him. Jungkook held your wrist before you could leave, and you looked at his dejected eyes. This was clearly a mistake. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing, Jungkook. It was just a mistake. You spoke before breaking free from his hold, leaving him alone and a heart broken. Honey, Namjoon almost collapsed when he found her laying limp on the floor. He rushed towards her and laid her head on his lap. I'm here, stay with me. I promise I won't let anything happen to you. Namjoon, a weak smile displayed on her face. Forgive me, I tried, but I couldn't. No, he exclaimed. You did everything you could. You are the most beautiful and strongest woman I have ever met. A chuckle escaped her mouth. Namjoon, promise me that you will protect my daughter. Her hands reached for his and held them firmly. She is the only one who can defeat Dare. She spoke as she tried to keep herself awake. I protect both of you. Just stay with me. Jin and the guys are on their way. He babbled, his own hands trembling with fear. Look at me, Namjoon. Her soft gaze never leaving his. I don't have much time left with me. Stop saying nonsense, he rebuked, cutting her off. She sighed. Namjoon, it's the truth, and you know it too. Her voice slowly fading. Save my daughter. Teach her everything that she has to know. But most importantly, forget about everything. It's the only way to save her. He shook his head aggressively and refused. How could he possibly forget the woman who he loved? You are so stubborn. A laugh escaped her mouth. Honey, he sighed. How can I save Ryan if we forget you both? Her eyes formed a crescent shape. Everything will make sense. Just wait for the right time. How will I know when is the right time? How will I protect Ryan? What should I do? Please tell me, honey. His tears didn't stop. Lisa will know. She cupped his cheeks and kissed him for the last time. Namjoon snapped his eyes open and clenched his beating heart. Had the same dream again the night we lost Honey? Namjoon looked up and saw Jane. He nodded silently. I'll get you a glass of water. He nodded again. Yoongi, please wait. Listen to me. Yoongi, you chase after him. What? What, huh? He turned on his heels to face you, his eyes filled with tears. You couldn't bring yourself to say anything. What would you even say? He gave you a disappointed look and walked away. Ryan, I need to talk to you. Namjoon poked his head out of his room. Yeah, you wiped your tears and walked towards his room. Is everything all right? He placed a hand on your shoulder and made you sit on the bed. You nodded. Ryan, he sighed, and you braced yourself to listen. I know I haven't been completely honest with you after everything. I just want you to know that whatever we did was to protect you. You tilted your head in confusion. We pretended to not know you and your mother. We pretend not to know that you both are witches. It was only to protect you, and also it was your mother's last wish. His voice almost a whisper. Honey was the most amazing witch I would ever seen. Jin entered with a glass of water in his hand. We almost believe that you are a human and not a witch, although I always had my doubts, he said, handing the glass of water to Namjoon. We realized it later that Hani casted a spell on you which hid your true self from us all. No wonder we couldn't know that you were a witch just like her. A small smile on his face. Yes, Namjoon spoke as he gulped down the liquid. The spell was so strong that it was impossible for us to break you free from it. The spell could be broken only by you. We have been so harsh on you all this while. We just wanted to defeat her, but we don't want you to get hurt in the process. Nothing is more important than you. Jean spoke softly. Your tears burst forth like water from a dam spilling down your face. You felt the muscles of your chin tremble like a small child, and you look towards the window as if the light could soothe you. You have ruined everything. You are a complete mess right now. You lost your mother. You dragged Lisa and Hansung into your battle. You have broken two hearts today, and now you don't even know if you're capable enough to defeat her. You just wanted everything to be an end. Both Jin and Namjoon hugged and shushed you. You are strong, Ryan, just like your mother. Don't give up. Honey never gave up. She fought until her last breath. Namjoon held your shoulder firmly and wiped your tears. You nodded. So get ready because right now we want you to go and visit Lisa and complete the spell. Take Taeyong along with you. He's been holding his horses to meet her. Then stood up, straightening himself. You smiled and stood up too. I have been mean to ask this, but Namjoon, did you intentionally set Jimin and Hansung to be together that day? Yes, you see, Ryan, we are a family and you are a part of it too. And if one of us is getting another chance at being happy, we would gladly let that person have that chance, even if it's for a while. A gentle smile played on his face. You returned his smile and made your way towards Seong's room. Oh, you are here? I have been searching for you everywhere. Hansung spoke excitedly. Why? You simply asked. Jimin asked me to help him with the ingredients for a spell, so we are going to get some supplies. She grinned from ear to ear. You are going on a date? You taunted, smirking. No, I'm not, she exclaimed and placed a hand over your mouth. Let's go, Jimin called out. Coming, she exclaimed. See you later, Ryan. She waved at you and you couldn't help but smile. Hansung, you called out. What? She turned on her heels to face you. Do you need something? I'll ask Jimin to add it in the list. You shook your head. Be happy and be safe. You gave her a hug before letting her go. I will. Her smile widened, and with that, she walked away.